Hello ladies, how are you? Alright.
Hi.
Hey. So we have a fun one today.
How are you, Laura?
I'm very good.
Have you managed to sort your dinner out?
I'm just going late, so
Yeah.
that's okay.
Oh, sorry.
No,
You and
that's
me both. You and me both in this household.
Oh no, that's okay. I don't mind.
Oh, thank you so much.
Of course. So we have 4 sprints, a fake KOM, and then a KOM. So it's an interesting course.
Just listen to my technology a minute. I'll be there in a minute.
Okay.
Not quite there yet. Okay, I made it.
Okay. Well, that's good.
That's a close one. So let me just write in the chat. Your link is already on the.
It's on the description, isn't it?
Yeah, it's already written in the description. Yeah.
And yet some people are asking for it.
Oh yeah.
Alright, so we'll head out nice and easy here to start. We'll go at about 2.0. Just to get grooved up. Now, bike selection for this one is going to be dependent on what you're wanting to do for your team. So, if you're a sprinter, you may want to go for a more aero setup. However, if you're looking for those all-around points, then you want to go with a nice all-arounder. Tron is perfect for this. Unless you want to go for a bike swap, which we all know is a little bit scary. So, I'm not that brave, and I don't trust I don't trust myself in the middle of a race to be able to have that kind of dexterity. So I know I'd be like fumbling away. Oh my goodness, I tried. I'm hopeless. It's funny because in like practice races, I can totally do it. But when I'm in the heat of the moment, I can't. So we're coming up onto the first sprint, and this is the alley sprint. So this one's 500 meters. You know, this is a good one to kind of shake the cobwebs out of the legs. Even if you're not a sprinter, just putting in a little effort here will actually help you open things up and get things rolling. So don't be afraid of it. Sometimes that little insertion of pace just kind of wakes you up and makes you go, yeah, I'm racing. Now, if you're not a sprinter on your team, I still suggest doing enough to stay with the front through this one. Because you don't want to be struggling right out the get-go, and you don't want to be dangling off the back. You're better off to put in a little bit of effort here, just to not suffer later on. So, it's 500 meters, so it is a long sprint. So you don't have to go like crazy watts, because it is longer. People will not be able to hold those super high watts. And then you do have a little bit of a recovery, but not much. We're not in a hurry. We can slow down a bit. I don't mind. We can just chill out, guys. We'll just take it nice and easy here. I do want to maintain that 2.5 max, just so that this is nice and inclusive. If people feel the need to sprint, by all means, test out your legs. Just please come back. Yes. Can somebody, I don't have my typing. Can someone say yes, okay, go for sprints, but please come back.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks. So through here, you just want to sit in the pack. You know, rest your legs as much as you can. Use the draft. Try not to get out onto the front. This is all about recovery between efforts. Because we have 2 sprints, then we have a fake KOM, because there's no points. And then we have another sprint, a true KOM, another sprint, and then the finish. So it is going to be quite intense. So anytime you can sit in the draft, take advantage of it.
So it could well be all out from the start until the end of that sprint, really.
Yeah, and we actually have another sprint coming up too, very shortly. So that's why through here, you're really going to want to just sit in the pack. The race will be completely shaken up on the rooftop climb. I've raced this twice. Yeah, I've raced this twice now. And although there's no points there, everyone's going to try to get separation there. So you really you have to treat it like it is an actual KOM. And this course, the only good thing about it, and I say that because it is the only good thing, is that it's actually possible to hold a breakaway on this course. I tested it a couple times, and you can actually hold it because after that one downhill after rooftop, it's very flat. And the rooftop breaks it up just enough that there's not going to be one huge peloton chasing you. There's going to be like a sprinkle of riders and another sprinkle of riders, and nothing that's going to be rolling too quickly. So we're going to get a little uphill here. Again, you just want to sit in. Try not to be that one guy going off the front or one girl going off the front, because you're not going to get anywhere. Not yet. And you don't want to burn your legs before you get to that rooftop KOM. Let's try not to go above 2.5, everyone. We really want to make this fair for everyone. Be like me, use your small chain ring today. It's nice. Nice and spinny.
I don't think that's Rave's. I think that's others.
Alright. Okay, I think everyone's together now, so that's good. Alright. We're heading into that next sprint very shortly. This one's even worse. It's 600 meters. So, again, you want to, unless you're the person on your team that's designated for points, you want to do just enough that you're with that front group, or whoever you're trying to stay with, but it's so close to that rooftop KOM, you don't want to kill yourself. And it's long. And this is one of those ones, if you're good with launching your power-ups, save it for the final push on this sprint. However, if you're like me and you lack dexterity, you just launch that power-up whenever you can mash on your keyboard. So now, we don't have a long recovery before we start climbing. But you are getting a power-up at each banner. So there's 7 power-ups. That's a lot of power-ups. Use them use them strategically. I mean, there is, which ones are there this time? There is the Van, the Ghost,
the
and the Arrow.
Ghost, yeah.
So there's no feathers, which is kind of it's kind of sad, but that's okay. So you just kind of want to use them strategically. Use them either if you're falling off a group, or right as you're coming through a sprint. I'm not planning really on killing myself on the sprints on this one, because I think it's going to be a race of attrition. I'll do just enough to stay with the front, but not more than that. Okay, so this is the rooftop reverse. Again, it's not going to count for any points, but it's going to split the race up. So you have to treat this like it is an actual KOM. We're just going to hold 2.5 here. I don't want to go super hard. Let's keep the group together. So when you decide to go for this one, you have to commit. It's not going to be one where you can just lightly increase your power. You have to find a good corner where it kicks up, and as a team, you have to launch.
Right.
So right about here,
corner?
This one right here.
I'm not next to you.
Okay, so where it kicks up to 5% at 6 kilometers.
Right.
It's a good section to really push yourself. You get a little bit of recovery right after it, and then it's going to kick up again. So what you can do is you can do one hard sprint, recover, and then when it kicks up again at 6.2, launch again.
So 6 and 6.2.
Yep. And then after that, it's going to go one more time, and you just have to keep the pressure on. And that'll be your final one, 6.3.
Right.
So when I say that you have to commit to it, I mean, you actually have to sprint. Like a short little 10-second hard push. And you can't do it alone. You need people to follow you. Or you have to do it as...
Sorry.
If you have your team with you, it's good to have your DS say, okay, in 3, 2, 1, everyone go. If everyone in front of me could just ease up a touch. I just don't want to drop people. I'm holding 2.5. But this one, when you're at race pace, it really hurts. It doesn't seem like much if you're riding easy, but in a race, it's absolutely awful. So you really have to put in those couple of digs. There's always somebody that's unhappy.
Yeah, you never please everybody.
I'm like, I'm at 2.0. Actually, I'm at 1.8.
Yeah. don't worry. Somebody always complains.
Yeah. You just don't chase the front. I mean, there's always going to be people that want to go ahead, and that's on them.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't worry.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I wouldn't worry, Laura.
All right, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm looking at my thing. I'm like, I'm at 2.1, 2.5.
Yeah,
Anyways,
it's fine.
all right.
That's
So
fine.
it levels out before the banner, which is super nice because you can regroup a bit with your team. Yeah, I'm 40. I should probably tell them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really little.
Good one, Lou.
So after you come through the banner, you're just going to want to kind of be with a little group and just keep working. You don't want to let up completely, because if you have established a break, you want to make sure that you hang on to that. It's a pretty gradual downhill, so you still can maintain a break here, which is great. But you have to keep the pressure on. You can't go super tuck mode. You can't go full recovery. But you don't have to be going like full power. Just enough to keep your little group together. You want about 10 to 15 is ideal in this little group that you've created, because that you can hang on to. The course is really flat after we get down from here, so it's going to be really hard for anyone to get back on. There's not going to be one mass of people. It's all going to be little gruppettos, which is great in a race like this. So you want to take advantage of that. You also want to be paying attention at this point to where kind of everyone is around you. Look for groups in front of you. Start deciding, okay, are they a smaller gruppetto than me? Can I catch them with my group? And don't be afraid to communicate with people around you in the race. Like if you see you have a group of 10 and there's a group of 3 in front of you, well, say, hey guys, let's chase. You know, type it in. Half the time you will get people that want to work. And start thinking strategically, because you have a long cruise right now. You have a little while till that country sprint in McCurry Islands. So you have a long way to kind of gather your little peloton and start to think strategically. The next sprint is the countryside sprint. It's very short, so no matter where you are, you should probably try and push through that one. Stay with your group and start thinking about the next climb. People's comments are always funny.
I know.
There's always somebody that says, oh, you weigh as much as my one leg.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just really short. That's all. I forget who it was, but somebody was like, because I was out for a ride and I'm really small, but I can push a lot of watts. So like, you're like a brick house. I'm like, I don't know if that's a compliment, but okay. I'm just very little and stocky. I've got all legs. I'm just a set of quads. That's it. Very little upper body. So through here, once you've kind of established where your pack is, you just want to sit in the draft. Make sure that your pack isn't easing up though. It's really easy to get comfortable through here. That's true. I don't need arms. But I do need them for things around the house, which I've noticed. And I'm like, I'm too weak. But, so like I was saying, it's really easy to let up here and ease up almost too much. Because you gotta remember, people are chasing you too. So you wanna do enough that you're, maintaining your gaps, you're staying with your group, but that you're not burning out before that awesome temple KOM. Everybody loves temple. It's like the slowest KOM ever because it's on the dirt.
Yeah.
It's not fun. I mean, if you're brave and want to go for a bike change, you can test that.
Yeah, I think some people will. I certainly won't, but
Yeah, no.
I think some people will.
I mean, if I get on a good breakaway and we get like, I don't know, a 30-second gap, yeah, sure. I don't really see that happening. So I'd rather just suffer through but the Tron is pretty good on there. I've seen it perform pretty well. I think last time I was on the Scott bike and it was pretty good too. Just with the lighter weight wheels. We don't want to go full disc wheels on this. You'd want to go with those DT Swiss Arc 1100. I think they're 62. Those are a good choice. You want to go for something with that lighter weight range, but still have some aero. But in reality, this course, you can't go for everything. You can't go for 4 sprints, a fake KOM, and a true KOM, and survive to the finish. That KOM, it's brutal. So you want to make sure that you have something in the legs for that. And you have to remember... Sorry? No, go ahead.
So will you be setting your team different targets?
Yes. So we'll have girls that we know are top 3 finisher potential, and those girls will go for the all-arounders. They won't be going for any sprints, but they will be there. When I say not going for it, I just mean that they won't be hitting their maximum powers. They'll be
staying in the group.
Yeah, they'll be doing enough to stay on the front, which is still like a sprint, unfortunately, but it's not the full power. And then we're going to have 2 girls that are designated sprinters. And really, their job is to go for those first 2 or 3 sprints, and then just survival mode.
And then will your team then together go for the rooftop non-KOM to try and close the gap?
Yep, the rooftop KOM, I think that will be a deciding factor. No matter what, you just have to go for that one. And then for temple, that's where your stronger finishers are they're going to go all in on that one. Because at the end of the day, the people that do the best on temple are going to be the people that win the race.
Yeah.
But it's just the way the course plays out that the 2 climbs are going to decide the race. Is this pace still good for everyone? I'm kind of seeing that we're in a big group now again, so nobody's complaining right now, so I think we've kind of regrouped. I'm trying to hold a nice strict 2.5. Oh, you're off the back?
Yeah, I'm in another little group behind, but it's all good. That's fun.
Okay, because we have a really nice big group here.
Yeah.
So we'll just stay. I'd like to kind of keep it like 2.0 to 2.5, just because we do have temple coming up. And I don't want to drop people on there. Let's keep the chat going. I can answer questions.
Yeah.
Fantastic. terrible at typing and talking. Like, my brain just can't.
Yeah. That's certainly one off that.
Yeah.
I typed and I lost it.
It's so hard. And then I find, like, I start saying what I'm typing. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not what I wanted to do. So here you have a nice little section. There's a couple, like, mini rollers, but nothing more than 2-3% until after the countryside sprint. After that one, we do have a little climb up to the little village. So you have to be ready. Like, you can't let yourself tail off the group there.
Right.
All right. Does anyone have any questions? Everybody's just...
Feel free to unmute yourself if you have questions.
Yeah. If you're thinking of switching bikes, I'll go over exactly where to do that. So you want to make sure that you start coming to a stop right as you're turning onto the dirt, because the problem is if you do it too late, you'll hit that start point for the KOM, and you don't want your bike swap to count in your time, because that would be horrible. I'm gonna get this little group to ease up. So
I'm
right
just thankful I'm on Apple TV, because that does the question out of it. Puts it out of the question.
I wouldn't even attempt a bike change if I was on Apple TV. I've heard it's brutal.
Yeah. But that's a good excuse for me.
I mean, I'm on a PC, and it's still too much for me. It's like A, escape, T, down, something, I don't know.
And Sherpa was saying that, depending on your category, like C's and D's maybe get more benefit from the bike swap.
Yep.
Would you say?
Well, the thing is the speed of the peloton. So with the A, we're generally holding, well, for myself, between 4.4 and 5 on the flats.
Great, Laura.
So we're heading, we're going and rolling at like 45 to 50 kilometers an hour. If you stop, you're never going to catch those people. Because a single rider, you won't be going that quickly. So for us, no. But sometimes with the C and D, they're not rolling as quickly. So you can get back on if you put in a good dig after you bike swap. Now, because it's uphill, there's also consideration of the weight of the bike, where when we were going through the jungle, that didn't play as much of a role. So here you just don't want to, if you're going for those KOM points, you don't want a super heavy bike either. All right, so we're coming up on the next sprint, which is nice and short. It's like 130 meters. But in the back of my mind here, I am still, if I'm in the front group, yeah, sure. I'll put in a little sprint, not full power, just to get the points if I'm in the front. But I don't want to burn my legs here. Not before I start to climb. I know me, and if I put in a full power sprint here, there's no way I'm gonna have legs to push up that tempo KOM. And to me, I would rather, yeah, there's points on the line here, but I would rather go after that tempo KOM. Obviously, at 45 kilograms, I'm a climber.
Yeah. But I guess if you were going for sprint points, that would be a good one to get.
Oh yeah.
The climbers are going to be doing exactly what you just said, saving their legs, eh?
That's it. Now after this one, we do have a little bit of a climb. So be prepared, because people are going to know that people are hurting at this point. So you're going to have people that start to push it here. And it always works out on this course. I don't know why, but people, they always want to push this climb. Kind of drives me crazy. Because I'm like, you're not going to get anywhere. What are you doing? But they just want to make everyone else suffer a little bit. So just watch anyone going off the front here. But because it's not like a crazy grade, you're still able to get draft. So you don't want to be the one, with your nose in the wind. You don't want to keep your nose out of that virtual wind. So now we have a little stretch before we get to temple. It is very rolling.
What pace are you at, Laura?
I'm at 18.3.
Okay.
It's still climbing here up into the village. Just trying to watch my power. Make sure I don't go too hard. All right. So now we have a bunch of rolling hills and a lot of false flat. So it's really easy to go too hard through this next little section. You don't want to be redlining before you get to the temple KOM.
Save your legs.
Yeah. Save your legs. Stay in the draft. Make sure other people are the ones digging themselves into the hole. Let other people go off the front. You want to get to that tempo KOM feeling as fresh as you possibly can. Now, I know I talked about this the last time I did one of these, but the best way to start a KOM is at the back of the group, of your group, not like everyone, but
Yeah.
you want to start your timer on that KOM after everyone else. Because
Yeah.
you can use that draft, and the first part's pretty, it's not a really steep grade, like it's pretty level, so you can use the draft there. So what I normally do, and I know there's quite a few of the people I race against on here, but what I do before I get into any KOM or any little segment, I ease up and I let myself drift back to the back of the pack. And I literally do that every single time. Because I want to start, I want to start at the back. I mean, unless it's like ridiculously stretched out, but you're going to be in relatively small little gruppettos here. So don't get scared. You're going to catch people. You're going to be able to push through. Some people are going to be starting that KOM, guns blazing, ready to roll. Don't be that person. It gets harder halfway. So just before I get to the KOM, I'm going to ease up my power. I'm going to drift back. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
that's you.
So yeah, tuck back, use that draft. Tell yourself, like, you know, I say a lot of things to myself when I'm racing. Even if I'm suffering, I'll be at the back, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in the draft, I'm recovering, I'm feeling so good right now. When I feel horrible, and I'm lying to myself. You know what, like telling yourself, like, okay, you're setting yourself up, you're in the right position, all those little mental tricks that you can give yourself, it helps. All right, so I'd be looking at my mini map here, kind of figuring out how much time I have, how much recovery, taking lots of deep breaths, because I know it's coming. I try not to look at the elevation too much when I'm on the KOM, because I don't want to psych myself out.
Yeah.
What I do is I set like a walk goal for myself. So I know I always want to hold in between this and this. Like for me, 225 and, you know, whatever yours is. And I just look at my watts and I just keep trying to hold my targets. If I know there's a point where we want to attack, I focus on that. But I try not to look too much at, you know, the elevation, because sometimes you'll be like, oh my god, 9%, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, that's so true though.
It is, we can really psych ourselves out. Whereas if you know, I can hold this many watts for 10 minutes. And you just keep looking at those watts and you're like, okay, I'm over, I'm under, I'm over, I'm under. Hold that. It really helps. Just get into a rhythm. So we see the turn coming up. This is where, right here, I'm going to start drifting to the back of a pack. And you don't want to like let off your power, you just want to ease up a little bit. Spin your legs, because you're not going to be spinning them shortly. Big deep breath, get ready to climb, sip of water, do all those things that you need to do. So as you make this turn, if you're making the bike change, you hit it right as you hit the dirt. You hit A right now. You come to a stop, you make your bike swap. Because you want to be stopped before you hit that red marker. This first section, 21.4, it's draftable. So I've started at the back of a pack. I'm going to allow myself to use that draft. Anyone that attacks here, they're going to get caught because it's too gradual. Remember that corners always have a little bit more of a significant grade, so just be prepared for them. Sometimes it just means giving yourself a little 10-second push, and it's not too bad. After you go through your 10 seconds, you can sit back down, settle back into that rhythm. Focus on your watt output, make sure you're staying within your goal. Every time I get to a corner, I just mentally prepare myself, because it's going to get a little bit worse.
I think you said that on the last Recon you did with that.
Yeah. Well, the corners...
It helps us to know that, to push a bit more.
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
And I often, even with my team, will say, okay, corner coming up, everybody kick. And if I'm de-essing, I'll even count for them. I'll say everyone's going to give me 20 seconds, and we count to 20. Well, as the DS, I would count to 20 for them. Because then after you've gotten around that corner, you can sit back down and ease up and get back into your rhythm. So as you come up to the little temple, it is going to get hard. We're looking at about, I think it's 22.1. It kicks up significantly. And this is one of those sections that I would say stand and count to 30. And you don't have to be sprinting. You have to be putting a little bit more pressure on the pedals just to get through this nasty section. The best thing to do on a climb like this is to break it up into sections. So now that
30 seconds talk when it's like what, 7, 8, 9% or more?
Yep. 7, 8, 9%. That's a longer one where it kicks up. It's just a little bit nasty. So you want to get through it. Once you get to the little arch of this, whatever it is, this building, it goes back down to 1%. You can sit back down, spin your legs, and get back into your rhythm. So now the rest of this, it's going to have a couple sections that go 7, 8%. But unless you're going around a corner, or if you're near to the finish, just try and hold your rhythm. Because it's long, I suggest looking at your 5-minute power and go slightly under that. When you feel like it's getting harder because the grade's kicking up, don't try to grind your way through it. It's just going to burn your legs. You want to try and stand and push through those sections. Because the faster you can get through them, the less you're going to suffer. But the worst thing you can do is getting into a really hard grind right here, where you're really working that neuromuscular. You're just going to burn yourself out.
That's exactly.
Yeah, you don't want to be spinning a lot either, because then you're using too much of the cardiovascular side. So when you stand, that's when your heart's going to start pumping a little bit more. So why you make sure that they're short bursts, they're controlled, and then when you sit back down, that's when you can just get back into that rhythm, more natural cadence, get your breathing back. Always make sure that you are paying attention to your breathing. Like, we're all going to be suffering here, but the worst thing you can do is ignore the way that you're breathing. You want to make sure that you're taking in enough oxygen. And sometimes, even in a race, I'll just take 4 or 5 pedal strokes on an easier gear, just so I can get in some really good deep breaths, and then I'm ready to hammer again. So as you start to see the finishing arch come back up, which we can see as we get to about 22.5, be really ready for those corners. Each time you get to one, just remind yourself just to push around them. Oh, is my live stream not working?
I don't know.
No, it's still working.
somebody, I think maybe was gone to have a huddle.
Yeah. They probably haven't opened up the viewer. And anytime you get a flat, use the flats to spin your legs. Get some of that lactic acid out. Really, before you get to another hard section, use those. They're super short. So when you feel that gradient really ease up, try and spin your legs out. Okay, it's working. Yay! So we have a couple more little nasty corners. But I know now I'm getting close to the finish. I suggest on this climb to save, if you have the arrow or the draft, use it for the finish right before the banner. That's where you'll get the most benefit of using it. If you have the ghost, there's one sneaky little corner right before the finish, and it's after a bridge crossing. You can use that for a breakaway. But you want to wait for that last little corner. Alright, so we're going to have one little bridge crossing, and then it's going to kick up again. And that's kind of the point where you go all in. So 23.3 is where I'm at. The gradient's nasty. You really want to make sure you're going to put in a good dig here. So 23.4 it should be, is that little bridge that I've been talking about. And it's going to go around the corner, and it's going to kick up. And it is pretty nasty. Yeah, it's like 8%, 9%. It's not a nice one. So if I have a ghost, this is where I would use it. Because after this, it eases up and it levels out to the finish. So if I have a ghost, that's the corner that I would use it on. And if I have a draft or an arrow, this is where I would use it, on this last bridge to push into the banner. So, as far as timing goes, I mean, A, women, I think we're about 6 minutes, 30 seconds. B, women, I think it's about 7:30 to 8. And then C, I think I've seen 8. So just for your idea of where to put your power. Now on the way down, again, we want to make sure that we're in a little group. You don't want to be all on your own here, unless everybody's all split up. Because if you're on your own, and there's a group of 5 and behind you, there's a chance that they might blow past you. So as you see a group coming up behind you, you want to increase your power quite a bit. You can use your power up if you want. But you generally, when you see them about 7 meters back, 10 meters back, start increasing your power, because then you'll get scooped up in their draft. You can super tuck on this downhill when you're in a big enough group. And that's ideally kind of what you want here. You want to be able to get into like that full recovery super tuck. Because we still have one more sprint. Which is just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that sprint is just going to be people trying to survive. I don't think we'll see any, 15-second power PRs on that one.
Yeah.
Now, the tricky part is the bike change. If you did swap, you want to wait until you're back on that tarmac. I don't know if I think the bike swap is really worth it. It just depends on you. If you can do it in under 15 seconds, yes, it might be worth it. If you're not in the lead group and you're just kind of wanting to do your best on the KOMs, yeah, you might want to do it. But if you're in a group and they're rolling really fast, you're only going to make up about 20 seconds with the gravel bike. So you need to think, okay, so I need 15 seconds each end to swap. That's 30 seconds. I'm only going to make up 20 seconds. Is that worth it? No. So it's going to be dependent on where you are with the group and what you're going after. Of course, if your goal is to get that fastest through segment, then you might want it. So the hard part is that when you come back out onto the tarmac, you are going downhill. So you're going to lose time doing that swap. I wouldn't want to make a bike change on a downhill. So again here, if you're in a group, you're going to be able to super tuck. Just watch for the little sections where it kicks up again, because or else you'll get spat out the back of a group. Especially if you're small. Now, we are going to get another power-up coming through this banner here. But this isn't our finish. So it's just another opportunity for you to get a power-up. So you can know, after the Temple KOM, if you're dying, you can use your power-up. You're going to get another before the finish. But there's no points at this banner. And we still have another sprint. The next sprint, though, isn't too long. It's 300 meters. So it's not, at least it's not 500. At least they're being somewhat nice to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somewhat. Not really.
I'm not sure I'm going to see it like that.
Try and see the positive in it all, right?
Yeah.
So this section's really nice, though. It's a lot of downhill. So you can recover. You will have just had like a nice minute-long super tuck. You know, with a couple, I say super tuck for a minute, but you do have to pedal a couple times. Yeah, I want to change to an e-bike. Can I change to an e-bike? So through here, you just want to try Get as much recovery as you possibly can. And just remember, everyone's dying. You're not the only one. Like literally, nobody's feeling good at this point. You know, in races, we always think we're the only ones suffering, but everyone is. So this is a good opportunity to really get that recovery in. Just try and be in the draft as much as you can. I mean, if you're feeling good, you can go for those sprint points. But remember, the next sprint is very close to the finish. So you don't want to burn your legs on this sprint and then have nothing left for the finish. I'm going to keep riding all the way to the end of this, so we can keep going. So I would just kind of coast through the next sprint, do enough to stay on, but my focus at this point is on the finish. But see how that whole section was either flat or downhill? So it's really, we couldn't ask for a better end to this race. It's been brutal, but at least they gave us a small little downhill. Now strategically, if you have quite a few of your own team in a pack here, you could send one person for the sprint and then the others sit back and help them. But I wouldn't chance it. I would really save myself for that finish. There's more points on the line for the finish.
Especially if you've come so far on your lead path as well.
Yeah. I'd hate to sprint and then have a cramp. Which I think actually happened to me on one of the races. I can't remember which race it was. I can't remember. It was one of the Premier League ones where I went for a sprint right near the end, and then I had a really bad cramp. And I was like, oh crap, I can't keep going. And I ended up just spinning it into the finish. Yes, the route ends, I don't know where, what's this, 35 kilometers, and you do get a badge. And it's pretty easy to the finish. Very flat. I actually like this finish because we're not climbing. There's a lot of downhill. I would not put my nose in the wind at all in this section. I would just be trying to save myself for that sprint finish. So this next sprint, again, it's 300 meters. Just put out enough power to stay in. It starts slightly downhill, which is also kind of nice. Use your power up. You'll get another one before the finish. If you have an arrow, don't waste it here. Save it for that finish. That is your most valuable of all power-ups for the finish. So definitely save it. If you have a ghost, you could attempt a long finish, like a long sprint finish. You could go, 500 meters in advance, but you have to commit. Whenever you launch a long, you go for the long sprint, you have to go all in. You can't go at kind of a little bit harder pace. Like it's a all-in sprint to get you started, and then really commit to it. I think we're almost done, but now we're with everyone else in the world.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Just before everyone goes, Laura, thank you ever so much for coming on. It's so useful to hear your advice. And thanks ever so much for making yourself late for your Easter dinner.
Oh, that's okay.
We really do appreciate it.
I love these. It's so much fun. And
good.
You ladies are always great. So I hope that was helpful.
Thanks so much. Absolutely, yeah, definitely helpful. Really good, thank you.
Does anyone have any questions before we wrap up here? I think we're good. So yeah, if you have that arrow, make sure you save it. If you're feeling
Definitely.
good, try going long at the finish. Use a ghost if you have it. Make it fun. We do this because it's fun, right?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah, and most importantly, just everyone's going to be hurting on the temple KOM. It's nasty. Don't defeat yourself mentally on it. Be like, I can't. Because you can always dig a little deeper. Even if you have to take 30 seconds and go easy for 30 seconds, gather yourself, and then go again. I do that all the time. Where I'm like, okay, I'll spin easy for 30 seconds. And then after that, I'm like, okay, I can go hard again. Set yourself goals.
I feel like you'd make a really good DS as well.
Yeah, I love DSing. So we're coming up to the finish here, which is at 34.6. We're going to go around a corner, and that's when you really want to start winding up your power. If you're going to be sprinting to the finish. So I can see the corner coming up. I'd start, whatever my legs have left, I'd start increasing my cadence, getting ready to sprint, and pray to God that my legs work. Because they might not.
No.
You never know at the end of the race. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I guess. That is the
end.
No
gentlemen on here, just ladies.
No gentlemen on here. On the stream, I'll say thank you to everyone. I'm more than happy to do these, even if I have to be late for my Easter dinner.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
You're
Have a good
welcome.
time.
You
All
too.
Right. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.